Ditaba wa Mohaladitwe FM.
Thank you very much for making it to the official media briefing for the official state of readiness of the Free State Province with regards to the implementation of the lockdown as announced by the President of the Republic of South Africa. The Premier will outline high level the plans of the province, and then we'll have a specific emphasis from departments by our respective MECs. The panel we have here, I'm sure you all know all of them, is the Premier of the Free State, Sisi Ntombela, flanked by the MEC for Health, the MEC for Police, Roads and Transport, that is Sam Mashinini, the MEC for Social Development, Memamidi Kawati, the MEC for Finance, Khadija Brown, the MEC for Coctan, that is Tembeni Manisa, the MEC for Education, that is Tate Mafwe, MEC for Distir, that is Makalo Mohale, and we have the Director General and the HODs for Health and Public Works and Infrastructure for support. I think it's late in the day, Premier. Without any further ado, we will allow the Premier just to take us high level on the plans of the province with regards to the lockdown, and then we'll then take the MEC for Health, and then we'll take the MEC for Police, Roads and Transport, and then we'll take the other MECs. Thank you, Premier. Over to you.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this opportunity you have created for us to have this conversation. Whatever I'm going to say here, I'm saying it with a very heavy heart. We want to thank the private sector and all those individuals who have assisted this far by providing advice so that we can gain a footing with the problem at hand. Ladies and gentlemen, I realize the importance of this press conference and I understand the significance of it, but you will forgive me if I'm going to be too short, because as we are seated here, the people are getting infected out there and the people are facing danger. So I'm not going to be long. May I please ask all the people who attended these churches, before I can even say anything, all the people that attended the following churches, they must please avail themselves. Divine Restoration Church, which is in Bloemfontein, Global Reconciliation Church, it is also in Bloemfontein. Words of the World, it is also in Bloemfontein. Eagle Christian Church, it is in Rockland in Bloemfontein. Christian Family Fellowship, it is right in Ladybrand. Can you please avail yourselves for screening and testing? This is very, very important. We have immediately established our own toll-free number so that anyone who is having any problem can contact this number, 080 053 554. Can I repeat the number for you? 080 053 5554. Please, you can contact that number, but all the people who attended those churches, we want to plead with you, please, Itahise. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now over 800 beds available in the province. Provincial government have 143 beds. Government resort have 724 beds. So we have beds now. Our districts will play also a very important role in the provision of accommodation across the province. This is for additional emergency beds for street kids and homeless people. Today we have already removed 72 street kids to the very safe place. Amongst those 72 street kids, 6 were girls, and we have also since discovered that we had one child who was 3 months old, but now they are safe. We are going to arrange food for them. We have already arranged food for them, and they are also going to be screened and tested if needed. So now we can say it with pride that all street kids are in a safe place. And I would like to thank Mema Miki for that. One of the most critical weapons to help us within this war will be our contact tracers and how we will utilize them to hit the ground running. We have at the moment 705 tracers, and I'm sure MEC for Health will go into details on that one, but we have them, they are now on the ground. For human settlement, we have arranged 180 jojos for our people to have water during these critical times. And I'm sure that Tembeni will explain who the jojos today. Ladies and gentlemen, the rapid rise of numbers from 28 to 44, although it is scary, but it's a proof that our methods of making sure that the enemy is shortened. But I'm sure that that thing shows the people that are tracing, these people are really working. That's why almost every day people are we are starting to get people to come and say something about how affected are they. But we must isolate and guarantee immediately, and that's what we have done. That's what we are doing. We are going to be very strictly monitoring the masses gathering of the churches, and this one of the churches we are going to be very, very strictly, because all of us are aware of what has happened in the Free State. Why are we having 44 today? Free State is at a critical juncture. The aggressive use of technology to trace the suspects in producing results that will help us act smoothly. Please stay at home. Don't take chances. I would like now to hand over to the MECs to explain the readiness of each of them. Let me ask MEC Munseng to be the first one to start.
I will try. Thank you, Premier. And ladies and gentlemen, I will not repeat what Premier has outlined. Maybe mine would just be to go deeper into the points that she has raised. With the beds, like she has said, there are beds. Here we're talking about the beds, the provincial government beds. These are the beds that, should it happen that we need to admit people, that is where we would then use the 143 beds. But with the 724 and those that we have in the private sector, that is the private hospitals, those are the beds that we would use for isolation. I mean, for isolation is 142, 43. The 724 is quarantine. It's for people that we would be quarantining, and we also have private sector coming into play here, where we have some hotels and that are private hotels, not the government hotels, that have also promised that they would give us accommodation. In Bloemfontein here, we have about 2 that have already agreed that they are giving us hotels, I mean, for them to quarantine our people there. And with the tracing teams, we have been helped by the Vodacom, MTN, Cell C, and Telkom to trace the congregants of the church who, those that have tested positive, we are able to get the contacts through the use of the cellular companies, that is Vodacom, MTN, and Cell C. With the Department of Health right now, we had 205 tracers, but we have since appointed 500, hence we have 705. This, we have 140 of them seconded to us by Red Cross. And this 500 that we have just appointed, we have to train them first because they are not trained. So then they could start then tracing the people. We also have teams that go out and screen people. They screen and test because we also have 2 mobile laboratories that go with our teams to the people, especially where in the churches we have asked the pastors to ask the congregants to come to the churches so that our team can deal with the issue of screening and testing. We have also trained some of our community healthcare workers so that we are able to use them as tracers. We are also going to be getting more facilities to do the testing. We are going to devolve this to testing to other hospitals other than Pelonomi, but that will be announced once we are done in saying which hospitals will be doing the testing. In every district, we have an ambulance that is dedicated to transporting the people that would be would have tested positive, that we would want to isolate, and those that would be needing admission. Yeah, we have an ambulance that in each district, we have 5 districts in the state. In each district, there's an ambulance and the personnel that has been trained on how to deal with the COVID-19 patients. We are also using radio and the community radio stations to communicate to our people, because we also want to update them every day on what is happening. We also need that community to be aware that washing hands is the most important thing that we must do in prevention of the COVID-19 infection. One more thing that we want to tell our people is the fact that they must stay at home and not move around, because at this point in time, the reason for the lock-up is so that we are able to deal with the people that we have. Because as you move from one place to another, it makes following up of the contacts very difficult. So our government saw it that it is going to help us to flatten the curve if we do the shutdown, because now people would be at one place where it would be easy for us to trace contacts, unlike when they are moving around, because as they move with the virus, they go and infect people, and then that makes the number of contacts grow. We are also saying to the people that went to the church, I want to repeat what Premier said, that people that went to the church, can you please avail yourself? I know that all the pastors of these churches have been, they worked with us, because they made sure that they called people, and we send our teams there. There's our team that is working in Ladybrand as we speak. There's a team here in Bloemfontein, and we also have our people again visiting the homes of the people that attended these churches.
You are listening to Mahaladido FM, your friend of all time. Your friend of all time.
We are in a period of lockdown. I think we have been engaging on trying to deal with this virus. Now we are in a period of lockdown. The Department of Police, Roads and Transport in the province, number one, there will not be any movement in the province. People that will be allowed to move, of course, with the permits, it is the essential services that are going to be allowed to move. No other person, let's stay in our houses. That's what it is needed. If you get into a taxi or into a 4+1, there won't be more than 2 people in that car. It should be only one person and a driver. And that passenger must be an essential services or going to get the essential services. No taxis or buses will operate during this period. Absolutely nothing. Only those that will be taking people to get the essential services. And I hope the essential services are well understood. Essential services is something that will help our people to live during this period of the lockdown. When you move to go and get the essential services, it must be between 5 a.m. and 9 o'clock in the morning, and later 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. From there on, no one on the street. We have engaged with the different bus operators and also the taxi organizations, and we have agreed that they will be transporting people that will be getting the essential services or that will be taking the people that are doing the essential services work. I must emphasize that no people will play tricks here. Every person that goes to give or render essential services, that person will be given a permit by his or her own department. I indicated that if it's a 4+1, that 4+1 must only carry one. In an 8-passenger combi, not more than 3 people. Our testing stations are closed, where you are going to normally get your licenses. They are closed up until the end of 21 days. If your license have expired, you will be deemed that that license is still valid during the period of 21 days. But here is the point. If you had an opportunity to renew your license before the start of the lockdown, don't think that when you are on the road, you will be taken as part of those people that their license expired, precisely because you had an opportunity to go and renew your license. So therefore, only those that their license expired within this period of lockdown will then be taken as the licenses that have not. Cross-border. There won't be any cross-border. As you know, the Free State is actually bordering with Lesotho. There is no bordering. There is no people that will cross over or come inside. Only the essential services will be allowed to get in and out. I want to emphasize that during this period, the aim of the lockdown is not necessarily to harass our people. The aim of the lockdown is to make sure that our people are protected. That's the aim of the lockdown. Police will be deployed in the province. All the national roads will be covered in the province. We have categorized different areas in the province in terms of those that are high risk, middle, and the low risk. And you'll see the police in their numbers in those areas. I want to appeal that as we fast going towards the end of the 24th hour of today, because from tomorrow, from 12 o'clock tonight, we don't want to see any person on the street. Please stay at home. Sala ekaya, because you are going to find the police that will be there. I want to conclude, Premier, by saying let us all stop the spread of this virus. By doing what? By avoiding movement. 2, let us all defend the country and save our lives. By doing what? By not moving all over. 3, let us all cooperate with the deployed law enforcement. The only thing that is going to be open, the courts will operate, but not all cases will be referred to court, only those that are urgent. If you think you'll use this current period and do the opposite of that, you will face the full might of the law. If we operate, we cooperate, I can tell you we will be able to deal with this virus properly. This is the difficult moment, and I think and I believe that we'll all pass this moment. There is a departmental team that we have in the department that will assist from the challenges that are emanating from time to time. And that I call it a team, because we have met with the different stakeholders so that they must be on the lookout. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Basharine. We'll now have the MEC for Social Development.
Thank you very much, Premier. Greetings to all who are here today. The Department of Social Development, what is already known to all of you is that all the ECD centers, we close them down, children are already at home. All our social workers are combat ready to give counseling to those who need it. What we are dealing with at the current moment is attending to the people who are living in the streets. We have looked at places where we can place them, working together with our municipalities to help them identify them in different municipalities and look for places where they can be put. Working together with the Department of Treasury to ensure that we unlock any other assistance that will be needed for them to be well placed where they are. Today, the Premier already led a program where 72 of them here in Bloemfontein were taken to a hair salon for them to be cut their hair and beard. We know that we also have to focus on cleanliness. We have already sanitized some of the places where they are going to be placed. Tonight, before lockdown, they would be in the places where they need to be. SASSA will continue with taking out grants as it should be. It has identified stakeholders that will ensure that we comply with all the regulations that have been put up to now. There will also be queue marshals that will be helping us, that there shouldn't be long rows at the pay points. We are already on a program where we are informing all those who are getting grants at what days will they get the grants. We want to emphasize the 30th and the 31st of March, it is only elder people and people with disabilities. The rest will get their grants from the 1st of April. And we wish for everybody to really work with us on that one. We have already suspended any applications for traveling for foster care children. We have opened up a center, a rapid response center, for all the people who will be in need for whatever or who want information. The toll-free number that the Premier has announced here today, 080-053-5554. We are encouraging people who still have questions, who will have any needs to help them during this trying time, whether it's sanitizers, whether it's food, particularly the shelters and the centers, and anyone who is hosting those that needed to be hosted, that you call that number. There will be a team that will respond to your request. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MEC. And I think it's very important, perhaps, MEC, to note that this is a provincial number. As much as we have the number from national, from NICD, this one is the Free State hotline. So please assist us in disseminating that information. Let us have the MEC for Cocta.
No, thanks very much, Premier. You would know that immediately after the President has invoked Section 27 of the Disaster Management Act, we were then tasked, because disaster is located in Tukopta, to develop regulations so that all of us understand what does disaster mean as declared by the President. And part of it was to arrange a number of issues, especially on how governments will have to function during this time. You would all know that part of the municipalities at the moment are preoccupied with the budget processes. And by their very nature, they are intensive where public must participate as required by the MFMA. And that has been put aside. All the budget processes, including IDP and SDP processes. In fact, council sittings would not be taking place since the shutdown starts tomorrow, and will be reviewed after that. The other issue was to arrange clear and key issues during this process of the 21 days. That we must still have constant, uninterrupted supply of water. And that's why, as per the directive of the Premier, we had to, in addition to the current measures that have been put in place since the declaration of the Free State as a drought area, there were initial interventions made to ameliorate the state of droughtness in various municipalities. But over and above that, as per the directive of the Premier, we had to further procure 180 tankers to areas that are worst affected by drought, to areas where there are informal settlement, whether legally or illegally occupying of the land, because there are people who reside there. On humanitarian grounds, we still have to provide them with water, we still have to provide them with sanitation. So water became a critical element, because everybody is then expected to wash their hands regularly and ensure that they fight the virus. So on that score, that's the level at which the Premier has instructed us to supply water. The other issue is that you would remember in Mangaung there was an understanding that Bloom Water, because of other dynamics, might have to switch off. As per the directive of the Premier, myself and the MEC Finance had to mediate, so that process has been resolved. There won't be any interruption of water throughout the province with the addition of this issue. The other second critical issue was the uninterrupted supply of electricity. Because for us to pump water in various dams and stations or treatment plants, we need electricity. If you interrupt electricity, even if you have water, you would still not be in a position to provide water, which is a critical element, especially during this time. So we have also made that undertaking. There won't be any interruption at the moment. Our municipalities are ready, systems are in place, and all our workers are ready to intervene where there are problems. The other element is sanitation. You would know that there are areas where there are buckets, there are areas where there are toilets, these pit toilets. In Bloemfontein alone, Botshabelo, you have 52,000 of those VIP toilets that must be emptied regularly. So the Premier has reinforced the trucks that must go to attend to those areas where we must help our people during this time. And the last other critical element would be the refuse collection. You need that cleanliness. There will be regular collection every week of refuse. We have beefed up teams in municipalities to be able to attend to these critical elements in the next 21 days. So those are the key elements that we are dealing with as the Department of COPTA. You know that the process of demarcation should have also started. It has also been cancelled for now until further review. So we are seriously saying to people, please, let's join hands, let's fight this disease. As the confidence the Premier has installed on us that it will be defeated, only if we join hands and together make sure that we fight this disease successfully.
O mametse Mohaladito FM, motswalle wa hao wa ka dinako tsohle.
Thank you very much, Premier. Thank you very much, members of the media, colleagues. I think our intervention is just three-phased. First phase is during the lockdown. You know that we have still communicated that for our learners, all of them from grade R to grade 7 to grade 12, this is not the holidays. Therefore, it is very important that we coordinate support, learning and teaching support to all of them. And then we have identified quite a number of mediums that we're going to use to support learning and teaching, or to continue with learning and teaching. The first one I want to talk to is the community radio stations. We've agreed with the community radio stations that we will be broadcasting the lessons, especially the lessons for grade 12s. I know that we were still cleaning up one or two other community radio stations. However, in general, we have agreed that our subject advisors will be going to community radio stations and teaching from those community radio stations. The second intervention is going to be we've got various companies in South Africa that are giving us, support. Your Vodacom, MTN, Cell C, Siavula, and so on. And most of them are zero rated. It means that our learners don't have to pay for data for them to be able to access these lessons. And I think this is one of the platforms that would be used, across the board. But you also know that channel 139 in the DSTV also, the mindset would be on a continuous basis. They've got programs that shows what time they'll be broadcasting which subject. So I know this is not, will never address the effect of not having a teacher, but at least to ameliorate, give children some kind of space to continue the learning programs. We also have got Siavula. Siavula, we've got quite a number of textbooks there that could be used. In our own IBP, we've got memo discussions over the years. So children will be able to look at the grade 12 exams and the memorandums and be able to mark themselves and support themselves. So this is going to be an exciting period. But I also want to say that we'll also be running a special Facebook just to get the questions and the support from the learners, all the issues that they want to raise, and we'll be setting up a team that will feed back to them. If they've got a question about solving a particular maths problem, we should be able, just using Facebook, to solve it on their behalf, and they should be able to understand what we are doing. And then the last thing that is, I know it has not come out, especially in the Free State, but I think we must mention it, that Premier will not be having NSNP food for children at schools, because the infrastructure to provide schools, provide food at schools, you must be in school. So that is why we're going to depend on working together with the Department of Social Development for various interventions for those kind of kids. That is during the lockdown. We are hoping that at the end of the period of the lockdown, we'll be allowed to go back to normality. And therefore, if that happens, it means the schools will reopen on the 21st of April. Teachers will go back to school around the 20th. And we hope that the department, our department, especially on the infrastructure, would will be involved in deep cleaning in our schools, sanitation, making sure that not sanitation, what's called? Disinfecting, right? Disinfecting and so on, so that now our schools are ready. Right? So deep cleaning will happen. We'll also focus specifically on the toilets. Because if you go to toilets in mostly township schools, they are not good. So we are going to have a school toilet program to ensure that we improve hygiene. This thing has actually shown us again via the MEC for Health and the Department of Health that we need in our schools to prioritize hygiene, back to basics when it comes to hygiene. Most schools have got sick bays. We believe that some of the sick bays will be resourced with masks, with temperature measurements, thermometers, and gloves, so that now if children pick up the problems after school reopening, they should be put in the sick bay. But also we'll be working with our own school-based support teams. Every school has got what is called a school-based support team. And these are the people who look at the health, and well-being of the learners. So we will revive those structures such that they should be able to identify children before this thing becomes worse. In fact, what this has done is said the health of our learners, the psychosocial issues of our learners must actually be prioritized. And the last one is what I'm talking about, is psychosocial services. It's very, very clear that we need to appoint, Premier, some more nurses, especially in our hostel schools. It became very clear that you do need one or two, even if it's auxiliary nurse, to take care of those farm learners, working with the Department of Health. We've agreed that we need to put more resources on our side as a Department of Education to support integrated school health program. It's already there. It is run by the Department of Health. We're working together. But when I looked at the resources that we are deploying, they are inadequate, and therefore we need to do that. And we also think, Premier, that during the period of this quarantine, we may have, or we are going to have to support parents themselves. You know, parents having to stay with kids every day. It's not going to be easy. It's not like holidays where you stay with them 3 days, 5 days. It's going to be 21 days. And therefore we believe that on a continuous basis, we will actually send tips to parents to say how to handle children. And if children can't if they become agitated because they're not allowed to play with other people, children of next door, we need to be able to tell them how to manage that anxiety. Otherwise, we may find a situation where our children, by the time they go back to school, they are very demoralized. So we want them to continue to be excited so that they can be ready when the school reopens. Thank you.
You are listening to Mahaladido FM, your friend of all time. Your friend of all time.
Very much. I'll speak on two or three issues. One, on the tourism and the hospitality services, that in line with the regulations, all the hotels, the resorts, both public and private, the lodges, all will be closed. Those that will only be allowed are those that are housing people who are under quarantine. As you'd remember that over the weekends, the Minister of Tourism indicated that the foreign nationals, wherever they are in the country, are automatically under quarantine. So those will be the only ones that are allowed to operate for that particular purpose. The places of entertainment, the shebins, taverns, shisanyamas, and all other liquor outlets will be closed with no exception. That also includes the supermarkets or the food stores, which also sell alcohol. So in terms of the regulation, you are only allowed to access it for purposes of purchasing the essential goods. So if there are other shelves there which has alcohol, they will be closed. So you may not be able to sneak your way through to the wine shelf simply because it is located within a store which sells essential goods. And the supermarkets and the food stores are only allowed to sell essential goods. So they are not allowed to sell any other goods. So you may not go to a store with variety of goods and think that you can be able to access all the others other than those that are indicated. And essential goods include those of pharmaceutical nature, as has been indicated. Your medicine, products of hygiene nature. There was a question, and we need to demystify. You know, South Africans are creative on Facebook. We must indicate that because there were some posts that were indicating that you said you are going to buy food, but you are having condoms in your hand. Condoms are part of hygienic essential goods. So when a person goes to the store and purchases condoms, it's allowed, it's part of the essential goods. So I thought it's necessary to clarify because there was already another creativity on Facebook. Airtime is part of essential goods. Electricity is part of essential goods. And we must also indicate that under tourism, there's a provision for a tourism relief fund where all the operators within the hospitality industry will be able to apply for the funds to demonstrate that they have been they have suffered a financial loss because of the lockdown. It is not enough, but there is an attempt, particularly for the small businesses. One of the criteria is that the business must have a turnover of less than 2.5 million per annum, which must be fully compliant with tax, registration with UIF, and we must demonstrate that at least the people that we have employed, at least you are in a position or you have been employing them for a period of 3 months. So the number of requirements that you have to submit, like your finances, your financial statement. It is targeting mainly the black-owned because the entire fund, 70% of the beneficiaries will be black, and 50% must be women, and 30% has to be owned. And a minimum of 4% will be beneficiaries of those owners who are disabled. So there will also be a call center number for this particular purpose. So we'll require our people from time to time to be on the lookout on our Facebook pages and the departmental websites where the number will be made available. We must also clarify the issues of the spaza shops. Only those that are licensed and are South African owned. It's on record that most of this, more than 95% of these foreign owned shops are not licensed. So even those spaza shops that are South African owned, if someone just woke up one day and erect a container there without any license from local authority, because all the spaza shops are under the jurisdiction of municipalities. Those that just operated throughout without necessary licenses, they will not be allowed to operate. And those that are licensed and will be allowed to operate, they must also confine themselves to sell the essential goods only, not any other, But our last message is that we would request the Free Staters and South Africans to really be careful on how they spend their money during this period. We're heading to a period which is going to be tough economically. Post-COVID-19, South Africans must be in a position to can still survive. Let's not have a reckless spending. Perhaps this is an opportunity to exercise discipline, that we can use our money for those essential goods that are necessary for survival. South Africans and Free Staters must remember that there may be a need to catch up maybe from the kids side in the school. There may be a need for working long hours to catch up for the time, which might also put a financial strain on those that are working and so on. So this is the best time. Let's not see this as much as it is tough, but there's also the positive side on it. At least it puts the sense of how we rearrange our finances for that which is worthwhile for us. So from the department side, there are some services which will continue, like the anti-poaching, the vet services. As and when people have the issues with the wildlife or with the animals, those services will still be there. They are part of the essential service, but not to say come and walk my dog. No, it's not part of the essential service. But as and when there is a health issue with your animal or with your pet, or there are those instances of emergency, maybe you see a lion or whatever that threatens life, the department will still be available for that. And I think I'll end there. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sisi, for that very clear message, especially with regards to the shops and liquor stores. The last MEC is the MEC for Finance.
You are listening to Mahaladido FM, your friend of all time. Your friend of all time.
Thank you very much, Premier, ladies and gentlemen. I trust I'm audible. As you can see that this team under the stewardship of the Honourable Premier, we are working as a team. The province has a provincial command centre, and that provincial command centre over this week had sat every single day. We are also linked to a video conferencing facility, so that throughout the period of the lockdown, provincial members of the executive as well as the heads of department are on standby through video conferencing or emergency meetings in need. So the role of Treasury in this regard within the command centre is to maintain governance and compliance through this process. And I think it's evident that during this lockdown, we all know that it will definitely and most certainly hit the South African and Free State economy very, very hard. MEC Destia outlined that. And there are measures that the province is taking to ensure that as soon as we are hit economically, we have mechanisms to recover in the areas of our control. So as government does its work in prevention, emergency and disaster management services, our collective responsibility as the MECs sitting here today and HODs is to ensure that we prioritize Free Staters first. So those who are providing emergency services to government, we've made a very, very strict rule that we will consider Free Staters from the manufacturing perspective of sanitizers and other consumables that both government requires and the public requires. We're ensuring that we have a mechanism and process that we protect and we look at Free Staters first. But in doing so, we have to ensure that we do not allow for inflated prices. We ensure that these prices are regulated, and we've done that through National Treasury and Provincial Treasury. And I think that it's also important that we advise the public that as you're purchasing out there, it is imperative for the public not to purchase goods at inflated prices. And if you're feeling that you are having to be in a position where you are paying more for what you should be paying, Destia also has a consumer awareness team, and you can go to that office, email them, and we will then investigate, because there are various regulations in place that ensures that consumers are protected during this process. So we are regulating pricing that we procure in government, but further to that, fake products are out there in the market. Especially you find that we've received products with spirits, and that is affecting our people, it is affecting ourselves. And as we go about doing our work, we have the Department of Health who's got a lab that tests these products for us before we ensure procurement, so that we can ensure that there's still compliance and our specifications are adhered to. So as Team Free State, Premier has asked us to also put up a disaster fund. It is called the Premier's Disaster Relief Account. I think we should call it the account, where the public, because we've had so many good doers out there who is prepared to provide some donations to the work that we're doing as government. Treasury is opening that account on behalf of Team Free State. It will be audited. It is going through the normal auditing processes, but we encourage and urge those who are interested in donating to the Free State to kindly donate into that account. It will be dealt through proper governance principles. We will be able to account for every cent. Treasury will be open for payments, that is to service providers during this time, and to pay salaries. So know that workers in government will be paid and service providers will be paid. Thank you very much, Honourable Premier. Let us stay at home. Thank you.
You are listening to Mahaladido FM, your friend of all time. Your friend of all time. You are listening to Mahaladido FM, your friend of all time. Your friend of all time.